At least 25 people have been killed in Ukraine following a fresh wave of Russian attacks. Ukrainian officials report that the strikes have hit multiple regions, including Donetsk, Kharkiv, and Odesa, as the war shows no signs of slowing down. The deadliest strike occurred in Dobro Illya in the Donetsk region. Two Russian ballistic missiles hit a residential area and a shopping center, killing at least 11 people. Among the 40 wounded were 6 children. Ukrainian President Zelenskyy has condemned the attacks, accusing Russia of deliberately targeting emergency responders. In a statement on Telegram, he said, and I quote, "After emergency services arrived, Russia launched another strike deliberately targeting the rescuers. Such strikes show that Russia's goals are unchanged." End quote. But the attacks weren't limited to Donetsk. In the Kharkiv region, 3 people were killed and 7 others injured in Kyiv after a Russian drone strike hit a company site. Meanwhile, in Odesa, drone attacks damaged power infrastructure. The D-Tech energy company stated that this was the 7th attack on Odesa's power grid in just 3 weeks. A prominent Ukrainian activist, Stenenko, warned that logistics routes to Sudza are now under full enemy fire control as Russian combat groups advance into the Sumy region and retake villages in neighboring Kharkiv Oblast. Adding to the escalation, reports suggest a daring infiltration by 100 Russian soldiers into a Kyiv-controlled town via a gas pipeline. According to Ukraine's Kavya Pravda, this raid is a part of a larger offensive push by Moscow. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has strongly criticized the West's lack of action, saying, and I quote, "This is what happens when someone appeases barbarians. More bombs, more aggression, more victims." End quote. Meanwhile, the US position on Ukraine is shifting. President Donald Trump, speaking to reporters, said that dealing with Ukraine is proving more difficult, frankly, than dealing with Russia. He suggested that negotiations with Moscow might be easier than with Kyiv. Under Trump, the US has paused military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine, cutting off access to key satellite imagery. However, the president has indicated he is strongly considering new sanctions on Russia in an attempt to broker a ceasefire. European leaders have expressed concerns over the US position. In a meeting in Brussels, EU officials discussed boosting defense spending and renewing their support for Ukraine. Next week, Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, is expected to meet Ukrainian officials in Saudi Arabia for ceasefire negotiations with Russia. As the war rages on, Russia now controls roughly 20% of Ukrainian territory nearly 3 years after its invasion. With US support faltering, Ukraine may be facing one of its toughest moments in this conflict. Stay tuned for further updates.